Okay, good morning class. Everyone, switch on your videos. Yes, everyone, switch on your videos, please. The rest, switch on your videos. Okay, so yesterday we talked about rabies, right? So for a quick revision, I'm just saying you what is rabies. Rabies is usually caused by a bite from an animal, which may be, in most cases it is the dog, in some cases it might be a bat. Okay, so what is the name of the virus? It is Lyssa virus type 1, and the source of infection is, maybe men is the only host of the infection, and to men it is transmitted from the warm blooded animals, and the virus is present in the saliva of the animal, right? And then there were some clinical features. There was some period, incubation period, your prodromal neurological period, then coma, and then death. And after that comes your incubation period was 1 to 3 months, or it may be many years, right? So as less as 7 days to many years, that is the incubation period. And it is a zoonotic disease. Zoonotic disease means it comes from an animal. So these kind of diseases are known as your zoonotic disease. So today we'll go for your diagnosis. Okay, diagnosis, treatment and prevention. So regarding the diagnosis, how will you diagnose that? First you have to take the history. Okay, if the history reveals that there is a bite from an animal, okay, animal which is usually a dog, maybe if the dog was not vaccinated, usually when you bring pets to your home, what you have to do is you have to vaccinate them. If you domesticate them, it's also your responsibility to vaccinate these animals. Now when you have not vaccinated these animals and then you have a bite from them, then that is a history that you get, and it also is an indication that maybe you have transmitted rabies. Okay, everyone, please switch on your videos. After that, this you get in the history, and also the signs and symptoms that I told you about. Okay, the signs and symptoms, when you look into the signs and symptoms, sometimes it is pretty clear with that the person is having rabies. Next, apart from this, if you want some confirmatory test, okay, see, since if you have a history of a dog bite, and also you are showing the signs and symptoms that I discussed with you, then it is pretty clear, okay, that maybe the person is having rabies. But even after that you want a confirmation, then you need to go for certain investigation. So some investigation are your antigen detection, okay, using in immunofluorescence. Okay, that is the antigen detection, okay, of the skin. So what you do is skin biopsy. What you do in skin biopsy is you take a part of your skin and then it goes for the microscopic study. So under this immunofluorescence study, what you do is you detect the virus, whether the virus is present in the skin or not. And also from the saliva, because the saliva of the person will also be infected. Maybe you take the saliva of the person, or maybe you take the saliva of the animal that has bitten you. Okay, so either of the two. If you take the saliva or maybe of that dog that has bitten you, or maybe of the person who is infected, the virus might be present in the saliva as well, or maybe in other bodily secretions. Now what comes under your other bodily secretion? Maybe your tears. Okay, that is a body secretion. Maybe your tears, or maybe your vomiting. So these are also some kind of secretions only. So what you do is you test these as well, okay, whether the virus is present in it or not. And then you also try to check the CSF. Now what is CSF? It is cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, CSF means cerebrospinal fluid. So I don't know if you have heard of it before or not, but CSF, it is present in your brain and also in your spinal cord. Okay, the function of it is to protect your brain and spinal cord. It is a fluidy thing. Okay, it is a fluid which is present around your brain and also around your spinal cord, and the aim of it is to protect your brain from any kind of shock and also your spinal cord. So that is the function of CSF. So what you do is you also can check the CSF, because this disease, it has neurological symptoms as well. That is, it affects your brain and your spinal cord as well. So when you check the CSF, you might be finding the virus in that as well. But CSF, there is a disadvantage. If you check for the CSF, no, maybe the virus is not present in the CSF till the 8th day. Okay, till the 8th day of the bite, you will not see the virus in the CSF. So after that only it goes into the CSF. So before that, if you check the CSF, you will find no evidence in that. So it is better to do this skin biopsy and to check for the virus. Okay, if you want a confirmatory test. So this was about your diagnosis. Clear? Clear about? Okay. So after diagnosis, we go for the treatment. So the thing is, there is no such specific treatment for your rabies. Okay, no such specific treatment have been discovered yet. But still, there are some measures that we can take, maybe for symptomatic relief or maybe for the relief of the time being, and depending upon the symptoms. As you can see, there were several symptoms of rabies. So we need to treat those symptoms. Okay, the first thing that you can do is you have to isolate the patient in a quiet room. Okay, in a quiet room where there is no external stimuli. External stimulus means maybe some stimuli or signals that are coming from the outside environment. Okay, which may be your light, or maybe noise, or maybe cold air. Now why? Because I told you that these people will be allergic to noise and also to light. These people will have phobia of light. So you have to isolate the person in a quiet room so that there is no external stimuli in that room. Once he is diagnosed, so you isolate the patient. Okay. Next is the person will also have anxiety and pain disorders, right? So you try to relieve this anxiety. So anxiety is relieved with a group of drugs which you call as sedatives. SEDA, sedatives, TIVES, sedatives. Okay, so anxiety is relieved by this group of drug which you call as sedatives. And then if there is immense pain, the person will have pain maybe at the site of the bite or maybe in his whole body. So this pain is relieved with the help of your morphine or morphia. So nowadays it is known as morphine. In the earlier days it was known as morphine. So how much will you give it? 30 to 45 milligram maybe. Okay, maybe that amount is usually used. 30 to 45 gram of morphine. So what will this do? This will help in relieving your pain. Okay, and it is given repeatedly. These drugs, these sedatives and then morphine, these are given repetitively to reduce the anxiety and to reduce the pain. Now if you have muscle spasticity, okay, if you have muscle spasticity, so that is a kind of tightness in your muscle, so what you give is, you give certain drugs which have curare like action. Curare, CURARE, that is a group of drug, that these are known as your muscle relaxants. Now what are muscle relaxants? These drugs, they help to relax your muscle. So when your muscle are spasmodic, when you take this drug, they help to relax the muscle. Okay, as I told you that even your throat muscles, when you have the idea of drinking water, even your throat muscle might go into spasm. So when you take these antispasmodic drugs which have this curare like action, so this spasm will be reduced. Okay, apart from this, you have to ensure the hydration of the patient. Now why hydration of the patient? Because the person will be developing hydrophobia. Okay, even the thought of drinking water will make him go mad. So maybe he will not drink water for some reason because he is afraid of water, so, and it is so severe that he will not even drink water. So if you are monitoring such a patient, so it is your duty to make sure that the person is well hydrated and is drinking his water. You have to ensure hydration and diuresis. Now what does diuresis means? DIURESIS, diuresis. Okay, so diuresis is a process through which your kidney filters the fluid in your body. Okay, that is the water in your body. So if the hydration is proper, the diuresis will also be proper. If the person is dehydrated, the diuresis cannot be carried out by the kidney. Okay, so you will have problem maybe with your urinating. Okay, you will have problem with your urination. So it's good to ensure about hydration, the diuresis and your urination. And sometimes when the person reaches this neurological level and after that the person reaches the stage of coma, so what you can do is, you need to give the person respiratory and cardiac support. Now what does this means? Respiratory support or cardiac support, maybe if the person heart is not working well, so if you go for cardiac support, maybe he will need a pacemaker surgery, maybe. Okay, this is just an example. Respiratory support is the person will need external oxygen, so you need to put the person in oxygenation, or maybe the person needs to go for ventilation in severe cases. And also you need to take care of the wound. Okay, the wound means the area where you have got the bite, so you will get a wound there. In some cases it might not be that severe because it might be a mere scratch only, but if it is a bite, or maybe if the scratch is of high intensity, then what you have to do is, you need to go for cleansing of the wound. Okay, immediately you need to do that. That is a first aid action that you do for yourself before visiting the doctor or before visiting the hospital. So what can you do? So what can you do is, you wash the wound for at least like 15 minutes, okay, with soapy water or maybe with iodine or some kind of detergent. You wash that area, whatever is available, you wash that area for about like 15 minutes. After that you take the chemical treatment. Chemical treatment means you apply whatever antiseptic is present in your home, you apply that. That is the chemical treatment. After that, when you, or maybe you have to take this antibiotics and anti-tetanus measures. That is, you go for the injections immediately. That you can do by yourself, right? You can visit the hospital, and that you can, at least you are that much aware that if I get a bite, I need to go for injections. And maybe when the wound is bigger, okay, it is bigger in size, so you have to go for suturing. SUTURING. Now what the suturing means? Suturing means stitching up the wound. So if it is bigger one, so you might need to stitch that wound up. So you will not do it by yourself, your surgeon will do it for you, they will do the dressing, so healthcare personnel will take care of it. What you have to do is, you have to wash the wound properly, you have to take these chemical measures, that is the antiseptics or the antibiotics, whatever you get, and then you need to go for this injection shots. Okay, then after that, if required, the healthcare professional will do the suturing for you. Okay. Now there are some vaccines which are available. Now vaccines are usually given after a bite. So vaccines are also given as a form of treatment, and they are injected over your arm. Okay, they are injected in your arm despite of the area of the bite. Maybe your bite was in the leg, but you will get the injection in your arm only for like the next 2 to 4 weeks depending upon the vaccine. So this comes under your treatment. But I told you that the patients who are having rabies, they will have the infection or the virus will be present in their saliva or in any bodily secretion. So this bodily secretion may be their vomit, or maybe their tears or urine or any other body fluid. So the healthcare professional who are attending these patients, so they also need to be given some warnings. Okay, they also need to be taken care of. So what they will do is they need to wear proper aprons, proper mask, gloves and goggles, so that they do not get contaminated from these bodily fluids. Because since they are attending these patients, so they have high risk or high chances of coming in contact with their body fluids, maybe the saliva or tears or maybe the urine. So whoever is attending this kind of patient, so you also need to take care of this, that you need to wear your proper aprons, your mask, your gloves and your goggles properly. Okay, and also if the healthcare professional themselves are having some bruises or cut or wounds in their body, so it's better to not go for such patients. Because if you have an open wound in your body or if you have a cut mark in your body, so there are high chances that the virus may infect that area very easily. So it is better to not go for such patient if you are having some cut marks or open wounds yourself. Okay, so these are certain treatment measures that you take for your rabies patient. Clear? Okay. Now next comes your prevention. Now prevention is your ultimate thing that you can do. Okay, rather than treatment, see, precaution or prevention is always better than cure. So what you can do is, if you go for the preventive measures beforehand, you can prevent the transmission of rabies. As you can see, it is very deadly, and till the time you know about the clinical symptoms, it gets fatal. The person might go for coma or even death. So it is better to take the precautions beforehand. Now, who have the role to play in this precautions? The government as well as the individual. Okay, both have their own roles in preventing rabies. Now I'll tell you how. The first is, you have to ensure regular anti-rabies vaccination for your pets and the domestic animals. Okay, the government can also take measures for this, that the individuals, they also need to be aware that their pets and the domestic animal, they need to get vaccinated. And also the government, they need to have some policies regarding that. Okay, that they need to ensure that all the pets and the domestic animals are vaccinated. And then the government can imply certain bans or restriction on the import of animal from some other countries, because these animals that will be coming from outside, you do not know whether they were vaccinated before or not. You will not know about their vaccination status. Also, their immunity status varies from the pets here. Okay, so if there is ban on the import of such animals, so this will also help reduce the risk of contracting rabies. Again, if you see that there is a particular area where these rabies cases are rising, so the government can take measures regarding vaccination of human beings as well in that area. Okay, because the cases are more there. So since the cases are already there, so the infection might also spread from one person to the other. So what they can do is widespread vaccination of human beings. And the next is some educational information and awareness. So if the awareness is raised among the people that what measures needs to be taken care of and what can be the risk of rabies, so if this proper education is given to the people, so this will increase the awareness in these people. Now next comes your individual precautions. So what precautions an individual needs to follow to reduce the chance of contracting rabies? Number one is vaccine pets. Okay, so first you have to find out like how many times or how often does a pet needs to get vaccinated. Maybe a cat or a dog or whatever it is, any warm blooded animal. If you are domesticating an animal, so you need to find out what are the vaccines available for them. That is your responsibility, and also you need to take care that that pet or your pet is being vaccinated from time to time. And you need to protect the small pets, okay, because the way our these children of certain age group cannot be vaccinated, similarly the smaller pets they also cannot be vaccinated, okay, because they are also babies, so they cannot be vaccinated for a certain period of time. So what you need to do is you need to protect these pets from the other pets. So maybe you have a small puppy at your home, the puppy goes out and then that puppy is bitten by another dog which was unvaccinated. Now that puppy comes to your home, and then because that puppy also cannot be vaccinated, now that puppy bites you, so you have a chances of getting rabies. So in that way you need to protect your own pets. The smaller pets, what you need to do is you need to keep them at home or maybe in a cage, or maybe you have to tie them up, that is necessary. Or even when you take them out, you need to take care of them just the way you take care of the babies, how you protect them whenever they go out, you look for them. So similarly you have to do the same things for the smaller pets, okay. You need to keep them in a cage or tied up in your home, and when you take them out, then you need to look for them, okay, you need to be around them. And then when you see these stray dogs and the stray animals, means the street ones, if you see them, you need to contact the authorities, the local authorities, maybe the police department or the officials. And then if you see these animals roaming, because as I gave you the example, these stray dogs, they might contract the infection, so you have to report them, because if they are stray dogs, then for sure they will not be vaccinated, okay, they will not be vaccinated. If you can contact the NGOs also, sometimes what might happen is that these NGOs take up some actions to vaccinate these stray dogs or to vaccinate the stray animals, so you can do that. If you want, you can contact the officials or the police department, so they will take the measures to vaccinate these stray dogs or to find the proper shelter for them. If not, you can contact the NGOs also, because there have recently we have seen that there are many NGOs growing up. So, and especially for the animals, there are several NGOs, so you can contact them, so they will help in finding a proper shelter for them and also for the vaccination of this stray dogs and animals, okay. And you should not approach the wild animals. For example, I gave you the example of this raccoon dog, the mongoose or the bears. So these are the wild animals, so it's better not to approach these animals. And then keep your pets out from home, okay. The bats, whenever you see bat, it's better to let them be away from your home. You need to seal your home to prevent these bats from nesting, okay. You need to see if there are any bed nest in your home or maybe in the trees that are around your home. So if these beds they keep on nesting around, so it's not good, because these bats they might come and bite you, or even if it's not you, maybe the dogs or the puppies that you have at your home, so these bats might come and bite them as well. So it's better to ensure that there are no bed nests near your home, okay. Clear till now? Okay. So there are some incidences also. See, this usually you will see that there are incidences of dogs only, dogs biting a human being and that human being contracting the rabies. It is very common. But in 2015 there have been an incident where a woman, she was bitten by a bat. Okay, it was an incident in the US. It took place in 2015. So she was bitten by a bat. She did not even realize that she had been bitten. She did not even realize because it was so minor. She just thought that the bat just passed by her. But what happened during the night, that lady died. Okay, the same night itself the lady died. It did not even take one day also. So you can just imagine from this how dangerous the situation can be. Okay, if she was bitten severely, she would have got some pain at that area, but there was nothing as such. There was nothing as such. She only felt that the bat was passing by her, or maybe the bat touched her slightly, but she died at night. Because why? Because the reason being rabies. She contracted rabies. So when you encounter wild animals, this kind of wild animals, no, even if it is a mild encounter, you have to go and seek the help of medical personnel. Okay, even if you do not have any bite marks or any outward signs of injury, but even then if you have encountered wild animal, so you need to seek medical help, because you never know if you have come in contact with their saliva or if you have come in contact with any of their bodily secretion. You never know, so it is better to contact the medical personnel. Okay. And then there are, I was talking about the vaccine. So the you need to vaccinate your pets. The initial dose that you give, the first dose, is about at the age of 3 to 4 months, usually at the age of 3 to 4 months, or maybe 12 weeks. Okay, 3 to 4 months or 12 weeks you give it that age. Okay, in cats and dogs, for cats and dogs, and later you give the booster doses at regular interval. Now depending upon the vaccine, this booster doses, the time schedule, it's different. Okay, but the first dose that you give is at the age of 3 to 4 months or at 12 weeks. And before that, you know that you can vaccinate them only at the age of 3 to 4 months. So if you have a small puppy at the age of like 1 or 2 months or like few days, so it's better to keep them protected. Okay, so that they do not go and play with the stray dogs or the other dogs, the unvaccinated dogs. Okay, and if you have a bite by a vaccinated animal, you have less chances of getting the infection. Okay, if your pet is already vaccinated and it bites you or it scratches you, now you have less chances of getting the infection. But if your pet was not vaccinated, or any other animal that you don't know from maybe your neighbor's home, or maybe the stray ones, so you don't know whether they are vaccinated or not. So whenever you come in contact with them, whenever they scratch you or bite you, you may have rabies or you may not have rabies, but you have to consider the worst one, that you may get rabies. So it's better to go for medical help. And recently oral vaccines were also developed for foxes, so that have been considered as a great advancement. Okay, for the fox, because you can also contract rabies from the fox as well. So oral vaccines have been discovered for them, so it is considered as a great advancement. Clear till now? Clear? Is it clear about the diagnosis, treatment and prevention of rabies? You can see here, this is a infographics. So infographics means you have certain informations here, and then with the help of the graphics it has been explained. You can see this dog is infected with rabies. Okay, maybe this dog is infected with rabies, and then that dog, it is playing with this human being. Now this human being also gets certain symptoms. Now maybe the dog got infected from these sources. Maybe this dog got infected from another dog, or maybe you can see here the picture of a bat, or maybe a rabbit, or maybe a cat. So it can get infected from these sources. So after getting infected, this dog, it went to a human being. The human being also got infected. So after that, the human being is getting this symptoms. I discussed about this, and also it is shown here with the help of the diagram. It is easier to understand that. Here you can see he's getting fever and chills, and then some pain. Okay, and then here you can see this is a bucket of water. So whenever he sees water, the person is fearing, right? So whenever you see this picture, everything is clear now. So you can see this water, and then the person is fearing the water. So rabies is also known as your hydrophobia. So even if you go through pictures as this, it is easier for you to remember things. Okay, so instead of reading up everything, if you read up that once and then you look into this diagram, it is easier for you to relate. See, this is hydrophobia, and then he goes for the first aid, that is cleaning of the wound. That is a first aid measure that you need to take care of. After that, the person is getting these injections. These are the first aid that you need to take care of. And after the first aid, you go for the treatment, you go to the health personnel. This is another picture. These are same. First it is written that be aware of any wild, not only wild animals, also these dogs and everything. Maybe if it is not your dog, you don't know if it is vaccinated or not, so you have to be aware of this. Even the stray dogs, these things are the same. And then these are the sources, and then you need to sort it out like this. That is, you can prevent your own dog which have not been vaccinated till now. You can just sort it out by keeping it in a cage, or just make it stay indoor, or even if it is outdoor, you have a look after it. Okay, so these are some infographics. Through this it is easier to understand. See, these are the sources, symptoms. This is how you can sort out. Be aware of any stray dogs or the dogs that you don't know whether it is vaccinated or not, and these are the treatment and first aid. Clear? Is
Yes,
it
ma'am.
okay? So I hope it is clear for all. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay. So we'll discuss the notes tomorrow. I'll dictate that. Um, you all can do one thing. For malaria, I dictated the notes, right? So if whoever has written it in a proper way, so what you can do is you can kindly share that in the group. Okay, in the general medicine group. So it will be easier for others. Okay, if someone have missed out with any word or any sentence, or if someone was absent, so it will be easier for them to catch up. Okay, so whoever has written the notes properly of malaria, please share it in the group. Okay, and then for rabies, we'll discuss the notes tomorrow. And CR, you send me the attendance.